Muted. There we are. Unmuted. Hi, Alan.
Hey, John, how you doing?
Good. Long day today, guys. At least it'll be a good end of a good day today.
I'm good. I'm glad it was a good day.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's going to be an end of a good day. Yeah,
It
yeah.
was a gorgeous day.
I wasn't outside
Beautiful.
though, but I went outside earlier. I just had to drop down stuff down the leaf dump and get some stuff done. But then I was dealing with meetings all afternoon, so I had calluses on my rear end for the rest of the afternoon.
Well, if you have to have a callus, that's a good place to have one, I guess.
I don't know. Oh, I see Brian is here. Okay, good. He's a Jeff will be running a little late, Alan. He went out for a run and he had to get his daily jogging in. So he said it'll be a few
Yep.
minutes.
Hey there, Chris. How you doing?
Two Chris's.
Oh,
Hey,
two
how are you
Chris's.
guys?
Good stereo, Chris. How are you both doing?
Excellent.
Chris, you're going to take over the newsletter. You're muted.
You're muted, Chris. Chris, you're muted.
Sorry about that.
There you
Yes,
are.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be anxious to start that up again. We had a good run with that. Probably up to about maybe 4 years ago.
yeah, we've got a good, actually, Mike and I just spoke about it earlier today. We've got a good outline going. I spoke to Alan about it prior to the last meeting, and I believe it's on the agenda. So when we hit that, we can update the team.
Yeah, because we were actually, I think, one of the first commissions to have that before Stonington. Because I reviewed Stonington's, some of his, Alan had sent around some of the other commissions' newsletters. But I think we were one of the first, along with Milford. And it's something.
I happened to be in Stonington, and all the stops on the avenue there were that issue that I forwarded around had just come out, and every store I went into, every shop, were really eager to get rid of them because they were taking up a lot of counter space. So they were saying, "Well, you can take one. Would you like two? Would you like to?"
Well, we
A couple
kept
of them?
we kept ours in City Hall, and Jeff, every time we'd have a meeting, we'd notice that every week, or each week, there was a good pot that would actually missing. So I guess there was certainly some interest in that.
Yeah, we should drop them off at West Marine and Cove and Rex, just on the put them out there and see what happens. So,
Yeah. So
I think we have 6 of us. Matt may be a little late because he's on his way. How long do you think Jeff is going to be, John?
Well, from the sound of his angst in his voice, probably maybe 20 minutes.
So we have 7. So
Yeah.
I think I'll call the meeting together at 6:02 p.m. I will do the roll call, so I don't put anybody else on the spot. Matt Gifford is going to be here. He'll be tuning in. He's a little late. He's sort of stuck in a meeting. Laurie Jones,
Present.
Alan Kibbe, present. Jeff Mangles, aloha. Mike Matthews,
Present.
John Pinto,
Present.
Mr. Chris White,
present.
Chris McDonald.
Present.
And did I get everybody?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. And we have a vacancy still. We have one. We're down one number. We have 2, 4, 6. So we have 7. We have a quorum, which is good. So we're good to go. Amelia, do we have anybody lined up for? Oh, pledge. I'm sorry. Do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to the flag,
The flag.
of the United States of America,
and to
and
the
to the country
for which it
for which
stands,
it stands,
one
one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
visible
with liberty
with
and
liberty,
justice
justice for all.
for all. as you work. Amelia, do we have any public commenters?
Yes, we do. We have a couple. First up is a phone number that I believe is Diane Lorcella. All right, Dan, if you unmute yourself, you should be able to speak.
Diane, how are you?
Good evening. Hi, good evening, everyone. I know it was a lovely
Hi.
day. We have to take advantage of it all.
It's
I
beautiful.
just gorgeous. Time's flying by. I noticed one of the last items on your agenda has to do with the role of the Water Quality Committee, and indeed, I have wanted to speak with Chairman Kibbe and others in the future, but tonight I just wanted to say a few things. I wanted to thank Joe Schnierlein for serving and wish him a speedy recovery. But I see this juncture as an opportunity to not only review today's needs for water quality, but also in addition to looking at the original purpose of this committee. I have been on the committee on and off ever since it was initiated after Terry Backer's lawsuit. And I think a modern twist, I would love to see the opportunity for the current remaining Water Quality Committee members to discuss what roles we would like to see, what roles we did play. There were several things that we had achieved, including 2 years worth of a list of water quality issues. The thing is, I do believe that there's a need to make sure that we reach out and do kind of a dog and pony show with the existing boards and commissions and agencies. I had suggested that and it was not approved, but I do think there is a need to work with, but also make aware those who volunteers and staff who serve on these boards and commissions, because they make up the fabric of our city. I do think also that there are some key issues. The MS4 permit, dog and pony show, I think is important. The role of PFAS and artificial turf, I had suggested that we have a summit where we sit down in person at a big table, all the important departments and committees and boards that have anything to do with these issues, and just sort out and find solutions in moving forward. And lastly, of course, with the industrial waterfront land use study that has been approved, and you have seen my comments as I was asked to help put together that Water Quality Committee letter. I do feel that it would be important for the existing members to meet with you, Mr. Kibbe. In the past, the chairman has been a member of the actual Harbor Commission, so it was quite unusual to have someone separate from that. There's pluses and minuses because everyone serves and spends a lot of time, but I do want to say that this role could include freshwater quality, not only salt water quality, which was the original purpose of this committee. There is a gap as far as looking at what flows into the harbor and down the river. So that would be a freshwater approach. As far as the quantity issue, that is something that I think needs to be discussed. But at the very least, I think both fresh and salt water quality need to be part of the discussion and, of course, shared with all. Lastly, the issue where I believe it's very important that we speak on a regular basis with the mayor's office. I know we are the mayor's Water Quality Committee, and the thing is and I know that the mayor and select staff have received copies of the agenda and the minutes throughout, but it might be good also to have a sit down, especially now that we're starting to look at the budget for next year. So anyway, with that, I look forward to the discussion. Please don't count out the current members who have served, and we do have value, but also we care about the Harbor Commission, all of your important roles. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And those are all great ideas. I think they're all great ideas for the Mayor's Water Quality Commission once there's some new leadership in place and we get back going again. So all those things you mentioned were terrific ideas. So thank you very much for your comments.
And Alan, I'd like to add that the Water Quality Commission, the Water Quality Committee was actually the brainchild of the Harbor Management Commission. This was prior to This was certainly started by Nick DePalma, one of the former chairs back in the early, I want to say 80s. And it became the Mayor's Water Quality Committee just as sort of an offshoot to sort of give it a little bit more structure. But the Harbor Management Commission was always took the leadership role in making sure that committee was well informed and involved. Yeah,
That's right. And we have a role as sort of the mother hen a little bit of in our bylaws for the Water Quality Commission as
that's
well.
correct.
So
That's
to look
correct.
after them. So that's why we put this as on a new business item to talk about. So
And we were always
can
concerned with
wait
not
until
just,
we get to that.
we were always concerned, Diana, not just with salt water, but we also considered fresh water as well, the effluent that came into, Norwalk Harbor. So we were always also interested in what came down the river. So it wasn't just that it was only salt water that we're interested in. It was what was entering Norwalk Harbor. So, and that was the whole aspect behind the water quality interns and looking at effluent coming down through the harbor and also storm drains. Yeah.
Thank you again, Diane, if you're still there. Amelia, do we have another one?
Yes, next up we have Linnell Jones. So Linnell, if you unmute yourself, you should be able to speak.
Thank you. My name is Linnell Jones. My comments will be under 3 minutes and they relate to this evening's agenda. As a concerned coastal citizen, I came to the Harbor Commission when coastal work in my neighborhood, contiguous to Long Island Sound, was not reviewed by the Harbor Commission as required by city documents and the Harbor Management Plan. Because my concerns raised the question of water quality, the then Harbor Chair referred me to the Mayor's Water Quality Committee, explaining to me at that time the history and importance of the Water Quality Committee in Norwalk. Today, I ask you, many new members with new ideas about the future for this commission and its responsibilities, take the time to recognize the importance of having an independent, ad hoc, advisory water quality committee filled with representatives from different departments and outside experts. The many and changing challenges affecting water quality in our city cannot be ignored, and it would take over 3 minutes to just list some of them. The Harbor Commission took the lead in creating the Water Quality Committee and needs to now, more than ever, provide the leadership to ensure Norwalk's Water Quality Committee continues to independently question and monitor water quality for drinking, recreation, and supporting our shellfish industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Linnell. Is there anyone else, Amelia?
Nope, no one else has their hand raised.
Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you for two ladies for stepping forward. I really appreciate the input. We're only as good as we can be if we have the community telling us what's going on. Next item is the minutes. Laurie.
Yep, so I've distributed the minutes from the September 27th meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
I have a change, I'm sorry to say.
Oh, okay.
I think that on page 5 of 6, I'm being really bad now, but I'm sorry. I think it's that I reported that Chris White and Mr. Matthews were working on a draft for the fall newsletter, and it's reported as Chris McDonald. I think we have the wrong Chris.
Oh, good catch. Okay.
And the other thing I'd like to say, I was really very impressed with these minutes in that you dug up some history on the Vantage Point condominium situation. It was very helpful to have that background included in the minutes. Really appreciate that.
Thank you, Dr. Pinto, for that.
Thank you,
So
Dr.
with-
Pinto.
No, well, Alan, you realize that this issue has come up several times.
Yes, I do.
This was not Mr. Fishman's first moment of trough, so to speak. He's made several overtures to push that through. And well, I won't go back to the history, but it's stated
There's
in
no
there.
need to review the history.
Yeah.
We'll go through going forward with that.
Great.
I don't think there's anything that needs to be said right now.
I agree.
Okay,
Laurie.
so with Alan's change from Chris McDonald to Chris White regarding the newsletter, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion. to-
Second?
Seconded.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, thank you. I'll make that change, Alan.
Thank you, Laura. I'm sorry, I just was reading them before the meeting again, and I just picked that up, you know, I did
Thank you. Thank you for that
get
catch.
everything done. Dr. Pinto,
Yes, sir.
application review.
Patient review. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Alan. Let me just stay there. Let me move this up here. All right. Well, we have our first application is from 132 Water Street. And it's a CAM application that's been submitted by the applicant, was Mr. Brian Kirschner of Kirschner Development, and he submitted a special permit and a CAM application to convert the second floor of the building at 132 Water Street to a total of 3 apartments. Before we begin, there's a little bit of confusion in that. Maybe Mr. Kirschner can sort of clear that up, because in one section you talked about to renovate a second floor to 2 apartments, and then sometime later you talked about proposed to convert the second floor of oyster facility to 3 apartments to keep property profitable. And I was just wondering if you can certainly clear that up. And also, you talked about ownership. Let's say the owners will use the property for deck construction. Are you planning to reconstruct or construct the deck on there as well, besides doing the apartment? Any event? So if you can maybe explain that application to us.
Sure. If I wrote 2 apartments, that was a mistake. So there's an existing second floor in the building, which is used to be the old oyster processing center. And then adjacent to that, there's a conference room that they'd like to convert all 3 of those spaces to 3 total apartments. And then GNC Marine is pardon my handwriting, is a dock construction and marine construction company. So in the future, they'd actually like to move some of their construction space into one of the buildings on the property.
Oh, I see. That's what you meant by owners will use property for dock construction.
Correct. One owner is a boat retailer and marina services company, and then one is a marine construction company.
Would you like to take us through that application? I think Amelia has.
Yep, I'd be happy to share my screen. Is there any particular plan that we want to display?
Do you want me to show? I mean,
Or
You
yeah,
could-
Dr. Pino, if you have the plans up and you want to share, that's fine too.
wait, get this up here. Okay. Let's see. Site plan. Let me I think there's another review survey. Oh, okay, here we are. Let me see if I can get this in here. And more share screen. Okay. Would this be
So this is what you're seeing here is the first floor, which we're not really planning on doing anything with at the moment. It's existing warehouse space.
Let's see, this is where this is the Raydell, the old building here.
Correct.
And so you're renovating this area here and then the second floor over in this region here?
Correct. We'd also like to add a 140 square foot walkway to connect the buildings internally, because the only entrance into that back rear building at the moment is on the rear of the property, and they'd like to have access to the elevator in the 4-story building.
That would be in this quadrant right here.
Correct.
Let's see. And then so the 3 apartments then are, let's see, this is the section here. This is going to be the proposed. Oh, this is the addition of the walkway here.
Yep.
Let's see. This is the front of the building here. This is the water streets, the water side here.
You're actually, the bottom of the page is the Water Street
Right.
entrance,
I see.
and then the right hand side is facing the south.
Oh, okay.
And then so the rear, what you're looking at the rear is the adjacent to the Norwalk River. So what they're proposing to add is basically 3 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartments into that floor.
It says here 1 bedroom, bedroom 2, bedroom 1. This is all connected here. This is all.
Those
So
are 2
it's,
apartments, John.
That's two apartments side
apartments.
by side.
Oh,
So
I'm
they're-
sorry, these are two apartments. I said this one apartment, two apartment, and then this is the third section
That's,
here.
cor- yep, that's correct.
Well, any of the commissioners have any comment and questions?
Well, can we go to the site plan? Because it's, I mean, we're less concerned about what happens inside the walls than
Right, so let's see.
there's a site plan where there's, I think, something done with drainage. That's what, or parking spaces or something.
Let's see.
So it's our, actually, I'll wait till it's displayed.
So, oops, let me see here. Let me get that here. Stop share. We'll get this, it would be, let's say, let's try that one.
The site plan.
There we go. Let me see here. Let me see if I can-
um,
let's see if I can turn this around here. What do I do? I flip this here. One. Is that visible? Wait a minute.
I don't think you want to learn more, John.
All right.
Yeah,
Oh,
no.
you don't want to learn? Okay. Let me see if I can flip this here. Jesus. Out here.
That's Acrobat Pro. So
Okay.
money. Looks like they want you to update, get you a free.
Is this it? I'm canceling. No, rotate. Can you rotate page?
No,
I
you
would-
cannot.
Out of that, John. I don't think you can rotate it.
Nuts. All right. Damn it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let me see. How do I get that in here?
You want me to share, John? I got it open.
Oh, you got it there? Okay, Chris. Yeah, I know what's going on here. I hate this.
You have to stop sharing if you want me to.
All right. Okay, you're on.
Okay. All right, do you have this? Do you see this, guys?
Could you enlarge that a little, Chris?
Sure. So here's the site. So the structure's here, correct? Ryan?
Yes, that's correct.
That's the structure.
Well, no, I'm sorry, there's, yeah, the structure is to the right-hand side of where they're showing the parking lots right now.
Right. I don't know if you can see my pointer.
Yep. Yep, I got it now.
Here. And this is just, let's see. Remove
So you're-
trench drain, remove asphalt, proposed retaining wall, proposed catch basin, grading elevation 7, install T. This is what? Water quality unit, oil water separator.
So our original site plan, which was in review with DPW was a Coltech infiltrator system. The problem is the water table, especially at high tide, is so high on the property that our engineer thought a oil separator would be more advantageous, to collect water off the impervious surface off the property and then filter out some of the oil that will come off the asphalt. And then it's a 2-tiered system. So the water will drain through the bottom, but there's a catch system that will separate out oil and contaminants, and then it can actually be cleaned out through a vacuum truck or an oil truck. Because no water quality work has ever been done on this site by the previous owners.
Brian, I was just curious that there was no indication on the application that there was work that was going to be done outside the facility.
So what you're looking at is they'd like to add a retaining wall to separate the loading dock to a new parking area, which is displayed on the plan, because they'd like to get the existing tenants and potential new tenants parking away from the two buildings that are owned by the owners, which will be where they store boats and material and equipment.
You certainly
So-
appreciate that. This would be it'd be a different application. Now, this was a CAM application with no work that was being proposed outside the facility, but only on the second story, that second structure, second floor.
If you want to run it if we do run it as 2 applications, that would be fine. This is in review with DPW now, so I wanted to include it to show that we are going to try and do some site surface water quality improvement, as we move
We
along.
should have received that application from DPW, from the DPW, or was it, who'd you submit it to?
It was sent to Wilbur Geron, but I don't think they have full approval yet. So this was just for you guys to see that this is in process as well.
Well, I think we should be, at least have a chance to review that part of the application. As I said, this was given to me submitted as a CAM application in which there was only work being done on the second floor of that building. And that there was
Okay.
indication of a seawall, any kind of drainage that was going to be done, proposed afterward, outside. I mean, that's my understanding of this.
That would be fine. I can certainly run it as 2 applications if that's preferable.
Well, I mean, we've had CAM applications, Brian, before, where they indicate work in the facility, and then they talk about a runoff off the building or on the impervious, the sidewalks or the driveways, et cetera, to have a Coltech apparatus involved there, and we review the whole thing at one. But in this particular application, there was no indication that there was any kind of need for doing any outside construction or water runoff. I thought it was just construction in the inside of that building to put several bedrooms in there.
So our application now is only regarding the construction, the use or grant to get the apartments on the inside of the structure.
Yeah.
This I submitted to Brian Baker as part of the special permit application, and he asked me to forward it along as part of the CAM.
Well, I guess
CAM
in all fairness, I think that was the only thing that we would be able to review based on the current presentation of your application.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how the other commissioners feel about that.
Well, if it's not in the application, it's good to see these plans, but we'll not be reviewing these plans at this time, right?
Right. That's what I consider, Chris. I think in all fairness, to the applicant too, and to the commission as well, because I said, when we receive an application, we should receive an application in full, exactly what we are reviewing at the time. And it's not by the way, we plan to do this, but I should have no problem of being forewarned or be alerted to the fact that there will be a subsequent follow-up application dealing with this outside the perimeter. Oh, hi, Jeff.
All right, sorry I'm late, John, but I'm sorry I missed the beginning part of it, but the application process, there's a formal process that's based on a referral from the approving agency. So if requires approval from the Planning and Zoning Commission, the process requires the Planning and Zoning Commission to refer it to the Harbor Management Commission. If it's just in the process of being reviewed by DPW as part of that process, we don't begin our review until it's forwarded by
Zoning.
the Planning and Zoning Department as part of a coastal site plan application.
And as it stands, this is not a complete presentation, right, of the water runoff from the parking.
Yeah, because we usually get full report as far as the how much actually what is being alleviated, how much difference is going to be between what went there before and then after as a result of the cold capture, the amount of runoff that would be captured.
Well,
Brian indicated it's a work in progress, so I think that.
Let's ask Brian, has drainage calculations been submitted to DPW for their review?
Yes, they have.
Okay. So it's been done, it just hasn't been, none of that is being put to us for review at this time.
That's correct. Yeah, I only attached it in case Brian Baker at zoning thought it would be helpful, but that's not under review at the moment. We're only asking for a permit application for the inside of the building.
Well, I think under the circumstance, we can certainly make recommendations based on the current application.
Well, the current application is incorrect, isn't it?
No, it's
2-bedroom or 3-bedroom.
Well, in the site plan, not site plan, but in the review, let me see if I can find that. They talked about, let me see if I get this here again.
Want me to pull that up?
Yeah, let me see here. Where is it here? Yeah, I talked about, let's see, Brian, where is it? On the first, let's see, oh, you got it. Yeah, there it is. Okay. If you go down, it says description of proposed project with relation to the coastal resources identified above, renovate second floor to 2 apartments. And then just scroll down, and it's identification of significant natural seawall. I don't know what that meant, but I just saw seawall. And it says description of proposed project with relation to policies identified above. Owners will use property for dock construction, and I wasn't sure whether it was doing dock construction and services through both. And then way on the bottom is their owners plan to keep water dependent use. What's that? Won't want to convert second floor from oyster facilities to 3 apartments to keep property profitable. So, up here you talk about 2 apartments, down here you talk 3 apartments.
Well, that's been asked and answered, right?
I guess,
I believe that was just a typo.
Yeah, that's the typo on my part. Apology.
well, it's a more of a.
Well, it should be corrected. I mean,
There you go.
Right. I mean, it certainly matters semantics, but you plan 3 apartments to be put on there, not 2.
That's correct.
Well, the commissioners would like to make it Chris.
Well, should,
Any further discussion on this?
I mean, if they're just looking for approval on the interior construction to the apartments, do we think we can approve it and just say Brian can, fix the typo if he wants to and resubmit if needed, and then we can address the water drainage
right.
properly when it comes up?
Later. That we're not going to address the drain, the runoff and the drainage problem because we haven't seen that application.
Right.
So
I
we can.
don't mean to out you, Chris, but
Yeah, I think Brian was just trying to do a courtesy to just show that was also,
Yes, no, I agree. I understand that. Yeah.
Chris, I don't want to out you, but are you still a tenant there?
I am currently in the building that you are talking
All right,
about.
then you should probably recuse yourself.
Oh, yeah, that is,
Oh, I'm sorry. You're located in that building, Chris.
that's where my office is, yeah.
I see. So, oh, okay. Yeah.
So no doing your landlord favors, and not that you would. We all like Gary.
Not my landlord.
That's good. Cool. Thanks, Chris.
Yes, this
And
proposal,
there's no change in the roof area of the project, is there? As it stands now,
Well,
these
there's
3 apartments?
that small breezeway.
Yeah, there's
Right.
the small breezeway. It's about 140 square feet to connect the 2 adjacent buildings.
Well, like only recommendations that we can certainly make is that what we normally do for these type of construction jobs, or is that any construction that's taking place, any debris or removal of debris doesn't affect, water, enter Norwalk Harbor and affect water quality while you're doing that construction,
Of course.
disposal, that type of thing, and that you use best management practices while carrying out your project, and that's pretty much it. I mean, we certainly have no problem having the project move forward. We find it consistent with the harbor management plan too. Jeff?
John, John, it's Jeff, would you not have just no objection to this?
Yeah, no
Because
objection, yeah, to.
It's not really something that the harbor management plan addresses.
Rest
What's being
there. Yes,
proposed, so they're not making an
That's correct.
improvement.
yeah, that's correct, Jeff. No, thank you. Yes.
We want a corrected application for 3 apartments.
All right, so I don't know, Chris, would you like to make a proposal on that recommendation?
Yeah, I'll make a recommendation that we have no comment on, and that this can move forward on the building work.
With our usual caveat with dealing with water runoff, not water runoff, but debris, construction debris, making sure it doesn't affect the harbor during the construction process.
I would just suggest it be no objection instead of no
Objection.
comment, because that
Yeah,
No
yeah.
objection.
that's
Thank you, Jeff.
related to the 2/3 vote by the referring agency.
Thanks, Jeff. I revised my motion to no objection.
No objection, yes.
And this, because this is really part of our regular meeting, this is a commission vote on this. It's not a committee vote, actually.
Yes. All right. All right, well then all those in favor? No objection?
Aye.
Any objections? Any sustained? One, Chris.
John, I believe you need a second.
I thought we had it. All right, I will second Chris's motion on that.
Any discussion? me, all in favor?
Favor? Aye. Opposed? Well, Chris, you can't, you're gonna recuse yourself.
Have it.
Okay. All right, so moved. Okay, Mr. Kirschner, yeah, thank you very much. I think
Thank
that
you,
was-
everyone.
Brian,
Right, all right. The next, let's see if I can get this here. Go down to here. Again. Again. Oh, here we are. Okay. The next item discussion is at 80 and 84 Seaview Avenue. There's concerns about, again, this property being the application, the moorings actually coming into the Federal Navigation Channel. And there's been certainly discussion about the DEP's the application, which we haven't really seen again. But Jeff, you want to talk about the discussion that was with Sue Jacobson regarding that particular project?
You know, this is quite interesting, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's somewhat convoluted, but I think we can do this.
But the project affects or could affect the federal Anchorage Basin. And as a result, it requires a separate permit from the Corps of Engineers in addition to the regulatory permit, the normal regulatory permit. It requires a Section 408 permit, which requires review for any potential impact on a federal public works project. And in this instance, the public works project is the Anchorage Basin. So as part of the application process, the applicant had to submit a proposal for the docks and at the location to the Corps of Engineers. And the Corps of Engineers ruled that they will not approve it because of the proximity to the navigation project, the Anchorage. And so the Deep. We've asked for a copy of and we had a number of comments about this application, including potential encroachments on the neighbor to the north, the proximity to the navigation channel, and the encroachments into the First Street extended right-of-way. And so we had a number of comments, and Deep had asked the applicant, this is my understanding based on conversation and discussion with Deep. Deep has asked the applicant to address a number of these a number of those comments that have been received. And I guess they were in the process of trying to do that, but then they got the finding from the Corps that the Corps won't approve the location of the docks next to the federal Anchorage. And we asked Deep if we could get a copy of the application that the applicant has submitted. And Deep said that's not going to be easy to do because it consists of many different pieces submitted over time in the last 2 years. So they're going to ask the applicant to resubmit something that addresses the Corps of Engineers concerns. So right now that application is not moving forward with Deep. But there's another interesting aspect of this, if you bear with me. And it's the principle that the Corps of Engineers has recently established in Greenwich with respect to a much simpler project that involved somebody expanding an existing dock into the setback of the federal anchorage in Greenwich Harbor. And the Corps, in that instance, reached out to the Harbor Commission to see what the Commission's feeling is about this. And that's because the Harbor Commission is considered the non-federal sponsor for the Federal Navigation Project. And that's the same principle as in Norwalk. So we're going to continue a discussion with the Corps of Engineers we appreciate that what the precedent and the principle they've set in Greenwich. They said that they would not approve it unless the Greenwich Harbor Management Commission agreed with it, issued a statement of no objection, which they call a SONO, interestingly, which the Greenwich Harbor Commission objected to it, and as a result, the Corps would not approve it. So we're going to reach out to the Corps and ask for the same consideration in Norwalk Harbor, that the Harbor Commission is recognized as the representative of the city, as the non-federal sponsor, and that any application that affects or could affect the navigation project, the channels and the anchorage basins, has to be discussed with the Harbor Management Commission for its opinion and finding. So I think that's a very interesting precedent. Sorry to go on, but
No.
that they recently said in Greenwich.
Well, I'm preparing a letter to submit to that, was it Diane? I think it's Christina Como, requesting the same types of privileges that they've offered to.
She's the Section 408 coordinator at the Corps.
So we got a letter out to her to request the same type of courtesy that they've granted to Greenwich Harbor Management Commission to have that, which I guess it's referred, what is it? I forget now. It's called a local cooperating agreement.
Yeah, but all the navigation projects are the municipality is the non-federal sponsor because they were established initially at the request of the municipality, and it goes back to the 1800s.
So
let me ask, what property is this all concerning?
that's
This
80.
is Harbor Lights and Overton's.
Harbor Lights and Overton.
Okay, all right. Yep.
Right next to the East Norfolk Boat Club, which they also have an encroachment on the East Norfolk Boat Club as well as the First Street extension.
Yeah,
So there
okay,
are a number of issues there, and we can't let this slide, you know.
okay, no, that's.
Yeah, we reviewed this a couple of years ago, if I remember.
All right,
right.
so yes, and well, yeah, now it all makes sense, yes.
The application is still in piecemeal according to the DEP, so they haven't got it in its actual final form. So Land Tech, who's in charge of all this together. But the thing is, we can't let this lay fallow and forget about it because I'm finding that the DEP is being a little bit more cooperative with the applications, and we're getting a very mixed, information about how we should manage our harbor, and so sort of different than what we have in the harbor management plan. All right, well, that's that one issue. So I guess it will
So
certainly be.
what is the action item, John? You're going to write a letter to,
Well, that Christina Como requesting that we'll first have a discussion with her and see that we would like the same courtesy that they're granting the Greenwich Harbor Management Commission with regard to being written into the 409
408 process, John.
408, yeah.
But we talked about this not as complaining that we haven't.
No, I realize that, Jeff. I wasn't complaining to her. I mean, I haven't submitted the letter yet, but I'll get this out.
Opportunity.
No, it's just to discuss the fairness of the whole, that we would have the same courtesy as far as they're giving the town of Greenwich. Well, I mean, I'll send the letter out to us when I get it formulated, exactly what we're going to be sending to her. So,
if you just send it to the commission, it would be useful. Just to...
That's why I just wanted to discuss this first, so get the ball rolling. And then the next one is 68 Water Street, which is sort of a bad penny that keeps surfacing here. As you know, the 68 Water Street, the owner had made several overtures to build condos on that piece of property, and that dovetailed with the DOT's plans to putting up a bulkhead and putting in the staging area right there. And so the applicant had submitted their proposal to the DEP, and the DEP has turned that application down, because that place is being used. So we're still in the process of having to deal with that. I don't know what the full brunt of that is right now, but it's acted as a staging area for the building of the bridge. But Mr. DiNardo has been put in an application regarding development of that particular area. So I think the the DEP is going to turn that application down for obvious reasons.
Jeff?
John, the conflict was that the DEP issued a permit to the DOT to build a bulkhead on this site.
Right.
At the same time as the property owner submitted an application to build a bulkhead. DEP approved the bulkhead on the owner's property without having the permission of the owner to authorize the DOT to do that. And so our question was, how does that work? And so I don't believe they've turned it down yet. The DEP had asked additional questions of the property owner, and it asked that the responses be provided by, I think it was August 31st, John, in that email that Deep sent.
Yes, August 31st, Jeff. I
But
got
they received no response from the property owner. So the latest discussion we had is that they were going to either deny the application or I don't, you don't discard an application, but say they're not going to process it anymore. They'd have to resubmit something.
This-
John and Jeff, is it this 68 Water Street? That's the location for the alternate dock for the maritime vessel and the
That's correct. There was
Seaport Association as well.
That's right. So-called perfect storm. They were going to develop 3 different projects at that one location. And we were trying to
Right.
figure out, several years back of how are they going to coordinate that and who actually had the final say in that matter. And what was very disconcerting with the fact is that the DOT had agreed to redo the bulkhead at their own expense and then turn that over to the owner. This is a while back. And that was sort of a curiosity to me how public funds would be used to support, a private owner and in his quest for developing a bulkhead.
Not to belabor the point, John, but also to correct a longstanding violation on the property.
Well, apparently
building a new
that
bulkhead,
violation,
Yeah,
according to DEP, that the violation was corrected, but in our estimation I don't think it was.
no, that's an error by DEP, and we can point out their error.
Is there any action we need to take, guys? That's
No, I just
the
wanted to
question.
alert the commission on just what's going on with those two properties.
Well, and irregardless, the DOT is doing the work now.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
The
they
bulkhead
have
is
2
being
things to
built,
do. They're
or has been
putting a
built.
staging yard there, and they're creating the alternate docks for the Maritime Aquarium and the Seaport Association.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
But it's kind of curious on how all this evolved, when that property laid fallow for quite some time. And all of a sudden it was alerted to the owner that there was going to be doing some additional work in that area, that the DOT was going to use that area. And all of a sudden a huge project developed, over that piece of property. It's kind of curious how things happen like that. All right. Well, the last item that I had here is, and I guess we're going to be discussing that later, Alan, is the Water Quality Committee. I just put that on the agenda just because, we want to discuss new leadership role in the Water Quality Committee, as Ms. Lauren Cella had pointed out, because the Application Review Committee really depends and relies on the comments made by this committee to support many of our policies, and as far as application review. So I thought maybe we can get the ball rolling, maybe later on, not now, but maybe later on in the
Yes, we're gonna have a discussion about how to
the
fortify
committee.
that.
No, thank you. Well, then that's the end of my.
John, there's one more item that I just learned about at 4:30. I don't know, an application. We don't have to take any action, but it's a status report. Should I wait till my report or say it?
What was that one?
Yeah,
Jim?
I would. It's also not on the
Yeah.
agenda if there's any
All right,
discussion,
no, I'll wait till my
Okay.
report then.
Thank you, Jim. All right, well, that
Uh,
review committee completed.
now, Amelia, is any correspondence? I'm not aware of anything new.
Nope, I haven't received anything. Usually email comes through the Norwalk Harbor Commission email, which we both get, and I haven't received anything, like no one coming into the office or nothing in US mail.
Yeah, and I've had another email from Alan Fishman regarding the Vantage Point condominiums, which I'm just trying to explain to him what the situation is, that his dock is in the setback of the federal anchorage, and so there's not a whole lot that's easily done about that without huge project. So I guess it's up to me, isn't it? My report? Yes. I just have a couple of comments to make. One is that is Joe Schneerlein's resignation, which you're all aware of, really just saddens me, and under new business that we really will talk about fortifying the Water Quality Committee, because it's a commission, should be a commission of 11 or a committee of 11 or 11 commissioners, and there's I think only 7 or 6 now. So it's needs some recruitment of members, and we'll talk about that separately. The Walk Bridge project, the Harbor Master Bruce Lavallo and I attend a monthly stakeholders meeting. Usually it's early in the month, so there's nothing to report until another week or so. The two things that you may or may not be aware of is that John Crespo, formerly of the Mayor's Water Committee, still on the Water Quality Commission and on the Harbor Commission, is the environmental officer, or his company is the environmental officer for the Walk Bridge project. So he is taking care of the monitoring of all the test sites and so on and so forth. So we're fortunate to have somebody we know in that position, someone we can communicate with. The other piece I have is that there is, I get a very elaborate work schedule the first of every month, and I know Chris McDonald is interested in seeing that. It's kind of what I would call a critical path thing for every little detail going on in the bridge project. It's very interesting, but I'm happy to forward that to anybody who wants to get it.
Yeah, I'd like to see
I don't
that.
see any hands. Chris, you would?
Sure, yeah.
I'm happy to send it to you. It's like a critical path kind of thing, but it's very, 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 very detailed about all the different aspects of the different projects. Third item I have is last February, actually, we started on a questionnaire project to really look at the 13 goals that are established for the Harbor Management Commission, and to just evaluate ourselves, have a self-evaluation on how we think we're doing on each of those. So we had some difficulty with that electronically, didn't get to everybody and didn't get responses. So I'm going to have a new way, thanks to Laurie's son, who's given us some expertise on how to send how to throw your e-bit on the floor. And that will be coming out in a few days, and I'll send you all an email to look for the link to take that and just respond to it. It's a fairly easy kind of thing to evaluate put down your feelings. And finally, Chris, I had a conversation with Jess earlier today. I was trying to get something about the Street Ends project from her on to tonight's agenda, but she had a conflict with this, so we'll work on getting that moved along so we have something to look at.
Yes, good. We were supposed to have something the week after the last meeting, and it's been radio silence.
Yeah, and she was it'll be at our meeting tonight, so we're continue to push this along. Just a few things to think ahead about. We have in December, at our December meeting, we have to appoint a nominating committee of 3 commissioners for nominating officers for next year. So we should be thinking about people who would like to serve as on a nominating committee of 3 who would nominate officers next year. We elect our officers at our February meeting, but the nomination process happens obviously after our December meeting, where we appoint the nominating committee and the February meeting. So if you're interested in being on the nominating committee, you should talk amongst yourselves and really be a motion at the meeting in December of selecting those nominators. The officers of the commission are the chairman, the vice chair, and the secretary. Our 3 officers are nominated annually. So that is the end of my report. Next is, I don't see Bruce here. Owen, are you going to report for Bruce?
Yeah, Bruce was ill, so
Absolutely.
he said that Owen will handle it.
Absolutely. Sorry about the late response. I'm not good with the pressing the buttons there. Let's see here. The 16th and 17th of October, Bruce had to take the Coast Guard crew members out for a navigational aid buoy maintenance check. I think they replaced a bug light there at the day marker, and they were looking for a buoy that broke free, and then buoy number 1 was chain bound a few times, so they did a bunch of maintenance out there. GNC Marine placed 6 commercial buoys in the harbor in the South Anchorage there. Chiambro agreed to the harbor master's permit conditions, and we were supplied with all the GPS locations in the harbor. And the harbor master boat was pulled for maintenance, annual maintenance. And Bruce will be submitting a bill of sale for the purchase of paint next month.
Any questions for Owen?
Is there any news about the tragedy that happened off of, I suppose it might have been in Westport waters off of Kakini last weekend?
I don't know if Justin is on, but three people obviously were recovered from the waters, and one body was recovered thus far. I don't know the status of the other.
Right.
But it was in Westport. It was on the south side of Kakini, in which all of this transpired.
Okay, thank you.
And the vessel was from Long Island, correct?
That's correct. That's correct. It appeared to be, I believe it was a 20 or 21 foot center console.
Yeah,
So it's tragic. Yeah, absolutely. And it shows that I don't believe any of the parties had PFDs. So, you know, that's one of the big things, right? So we need them on a boat. We need them on people, especially when you're out there in less than perfect conditions, right?
This is a small craft advisory. Yeah, I stated.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was bad.
Doesn't
And
sound
it's,
as if there were any signaling devices, right? Nothing.
I don't know about the investigation, but from what I was told, no one had any of the appropriate safety equipment.
Okay, anything else for Owen?
Yeah,
Thank you, Owen.
Alan, I just want to
I'm
make a comment with regard to a request that Bruce had made earlier, and I'll inform Owen of that, and maybe Mike Vinci. Bruce was concerned about having IDs for the harbor masters. So as president of the Connecticut Harbor Management Association, I sent a letter to Kevin Zalvoy asking him if they had any kind of state credentials or badges that he can provide to our harbor masters and deputy harbor masters while they go out on because have you been challenged, Owen?
I had one question regarding, you know, everybody knows I'm a police officer in Norwalk, so it wasn't a problem. From what I understand, there's one young lady at Deep who is supposed to provide all of the harbor masters' identification.
No. That was Kim Zappala. She's no longer in charge of that.
I see.
That's why I sent the letter to Kevin Zavoy, who is now taking charge of that. So he said he was going to get onto it. He said that they do have something and they'll be forthcoming, hopefully.
Yes.
Okay.
That was what I was told, is that there is something in place already. It just has not been disseminated.
Yeah, that's right. I sent a letter to Bruce telling him that Kevin Zavoy will act on that. So I'll stay on top of that as well.
Thank you, Owen.
Very
Mr.
welcome.
Stedman. Mr. Jeff, there you are.
Thank you. I was going to mention that 408 process, but we already did. But also I received an email at 4:30 this afternoon from Deep, and I was out at that time. But Deep has posted on its website its notice of tentative determination to approve the Veterans Park Marina project, and the comment period is through. Comment period is through November 26th, so we have time to review the plans and it's straightforward. Well, interestingly though, it requires planting of tidal wetland grasses. I forget the square footage of it as some sort of mitigation. Now that went through the 408 process as well with the Corps, even though we weren't specifically consulted on it. But as you know, that was a condition of the harbor management plan, that the marina could stay in the federal anchorage as long as it's open to all on equal terms, non-residents and the same fee. So the Corps, even though that's in the anchorage, it goes back a long time, and it was originally permitted to be in the anchorage. So that wasn't an issue with this. So for the next month's agenda, we'll have to put the marina project on the agenda for final comments.
Well, we have not seen any plans.
The plans are on the DEP public notice. Now, it was posted over a week ago, but I didn't look because the DEP person said it had not been posted yet. And then
All right.
she just learned today that someone else in their office had posted it. But we have the month before the next,
Well, yeah, we tend to get things 3 hours before the meeting, so it'd be good to get it
Right.
before that if they're available. And I also, I've reached out to Vanessa before this meeting last week and asked her about the status of this job and I've heard nothing back because we haven't seen plans in almost a year on this. You know,
so Jeff, there should be drawings with that application, right?
they're posted on the website, the plan drawings that are approved, or not approved, tentatively approved pending any comments or concerns that are expressed in the
They're
public.
they're
notice.
trying to dig those out, yeah.
so is there a structure dredging and fill application for this, or is this before that's being reviewed?
Well, they submitted a structures dredging and fill application, and DEEP has reached a decision that they'll approve it. And that's why they posted it on their website.
Okay, did we see that though?
We saw the pre-application plans.
Well, that was the only thing.
We did not get a copy of the application that was submitted to DEEP.
Okay, should we?
Yes,
We put that in our letter, I believe, that we wanted to see the plans when they were submitted, but we didn't.
So who will follow up on that? If we've sent a letter, somebody should.
we sent I have the letter, Alan, that we had sent. There was we saw the pre-application. That letter was sent. That was several
Right,
years.
but if we haven't received if we're asked to
All right,
further review it, we should receive the current paperwork.
Well, yeah, I thought Deep sent us those and we didn't have to go digging for them, or the owner, which in this case is DPW, is supposed to send it to us. We're not supposed to go finding these things, right?
No, it should be coming.
So who's supposed to have sent it to us? Somebody's not doing their job, that's all I'm asking. And who's that?
Look at the letter, and I believe the
I
letter.
don't care about the letter from a year ago. I want to know about this application that we're not being forwarded.
But that's part of what I'm trying to explain, Chris.
Okay.
We looked at the pre-application plans, which the applicant is required to submit to the Harbor Commission before submitting the actual application.
Right.
So in the letter, we said that we had no objections to it moving forward to a permit application. And I think we had a certain number of comments. And usually that letter, I don't have it in front of me, asks that the applicant provide a copy of the submitted application to the Harbor Commission at such time as it's provided to DEEP.
And that's Robert's. This is Robert's project.
Right, and so that hasn't happened. That's my point.
That's correct. We have not gotten any response back from them. All right, I'll follow up on that letter.
So
I think
now
we
we
have to push, or I'll write, if you give me the information, I'll send
Well,
email.
it's DPW. I mean, or is it Race? I don't know if the onus is on the
Race is doing the work for DPW. So
right. So if they're submitting the application, they should be submitting it to us.
That's correct. Just to, since we brought this up, I'll talk a little bit. That what I've discovered is a lot of things from DEEP that should be coming to the commissioners end up going to the mayor's office, and some of the permits for the DEEP's permits for the Walk Bridge went to the mayor's office and also to the harbor master, but it was the previous harbor master's email address where it went, and I'm sure Greg didn't forward it on to anyone. So there's a problem, a little bit of a problem in City Hall. So I've been working with Tom Livingston to see if we can find a procedure for that. If something comes into the mayor's office, copied to the mayor and to the harbor master, and they have the wrong email address, that somebody will notice that and say, wait a minute, he's not the harbor master, and make a correction. So a lot of things I think are just not being properly communicated in City Hall. And I think that's easy to fix or to have a procedure to solve that.
it seems this seems to be what's going on very recently, because we've always never had a problem in the past. Whether the DEP doesn't look at the commission as having a responsibility, it goes directly to the mayor's office.
But John, we talked about this with DEEP.
Yeah, everything goes to the mayor's office, but
I understand that.
And it went to the harbor master, but it went to the wrong harbor master or the previous harbor master. So There's
I don't understand it.
people
Alan.
need to be more cognizant of what they're looking at and to say that doesn't make sense and sort that out. I would have been happy if it had gone to the correct harbor master, and we would have received it that way.
Well, Bruce has been very good because
I don't want to mean to
he's
discuss that.
received
Just
letters
know
and applications, and he's oftentimes referred over back to the application review, which I appreciate that because I would have not any.
Don't mind, just to answer Chris's question, the letter we sent was to Race Engineering, and that was November 9th, 2022.
Yeah.
I had no objection, and the last paragraph was, at such time as the pre-application plans reviewed by the Harbor Management Commission may be included in an application submitted to DEEP, please provide a copy of that application to the commission. So I guess you could say we didn't follow up on that when, but that's a standard part of the letter. And as far as DEEP sending applications that are submitted to the Harbor Commission, we talked about that with them a number of times. They're controlled in that regard by a regulation that says that they must provide it to the chief elected official, to the harbor master, and I don't know who else they provide it to, but they're not directed by that regulation to provide it to the Harbor Management Commission. So it would be a special consideration, they said, and if they did it to the Harbor Commission, they'd have to do it to every Harbor Commission. So they advise we get it from the mayor's office or the harbor master.
Is that recent, Jeff?
we're trying to get
That
that
goes
sorted
back a
out. So
long
the
way, John.
process.
Sorry? Is that recent, Jeff? I'm sorry.
Goes back a long way.
Well,
And if you bear with me, I just have two other things that I wanted to mention. With respect to the Veterans Park Marina, I don't know what the funding is. Maybe we mentioned this last month, that the city has in place to do the actual construction when they get the permit. But we were also anticipating that we would be able to get money from the Connecticut Port Authority through a small harbor grant, which we could have applied for, 2 years ago if the permit was in place. But now, maybe I mentioned this last month, there's discussion about folding the Connecticut Port Authority into the Connecticut Airport Authority, since the State Pier project is well underway. And that would require a legislative action to do that. And if that's the case, we would want to be observant and diligent to argue that if that's the case, we don't want that the grant program for the small harbors to be eliminated. So we have to be alert for that. The other thing is that the next legislative session is coming up soon. It's only, I don't know how many months away, but not many. So we're going to have to revisit the Harbor Management Act that we were unsuccessful in amending at the last legislative session to clarify and uphold the authorities of the Harbor Management Commissions. So we have to prepare for that and hopefully get more support. And without mentioning the town, a former legislator has indicated that she intends to discuss this with the governor, the concerns about the impact on the Harbor Management Commissions, and maybe that will help us move forward with the proper legislation.
I still think we need the reinforcements too from what we previously had, Jeff.
Yes.
That was Mayor of New London and
Yes.
and then Councilman Michelle from Stanford.
Yeah, and the last thing, when you get to the water quality, if you would allow me to say a few things about Joe Schneerlein, and what he's done over the last 53 years in the public interest in Norwalk, and I don't think we should overlook that. So if you allow me, I'd like to say a few words about Joe, even though if he knew I was going to do it, he would be upset.
All set, Jeff? That's the, any
Thank you.
questions for Jeff? Okay. Mr. Bartish, Commissioner Bartish, I don't see. Mr. Mangles, mooring and harbor safety.
Hi, Alan. Thanks. So harbor safety, we did talk about the tragedy over at Kakini. So just goes to show you that you have to have flotation devices and things. It is tragic that's happened. Regarding Dakwa, so Dakwa, we've had a couple of later reservations. I do forward any of the we're gonna receive a payment from DACWA to Chris.
Yep, thank you.
Just so that he's aware. Yeah, I just want you to be aware. I could try and get you on that too, but I don't know if you want that email.
I get the report when it's deposited at the city, but it's also good to be able to cross-check, so.
Okay,
Whatever.
very good. So we had about 28 moorings so far, or visitors, and all positive reviews. There were some cancellations, and don't know if we could manage to do this, but there is the cancellations were due to the fact that we didn't have a launch. So we'll have to think about that a little bit. I don't know if that's going to be in the works. Harbor Master Lavallo and I, we need to look at additional locations for more inner harbor moorings with more depth, water depth, and add some weight to the moorings, so that we could accommodate larger vessels, especially if it gets windy or the weather isn't too good. The managed fields, going to be working with Amelia. We know how much the managed fields have paid, and per our rules, 50% is due. I think it's March 1st. I'd have to look at that. So we're going to send out a letter, and if there's any late fees or late penalties that could be applied, we will. I have to go through that with legal. And Harbor Master Lavallo and I, we're going to review the mooring rules and regulations. And other than that, that's all I have.
Any questions for Jeff? Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate all your hard work. Chris, finances.
Finances, okay. So as Jeff noted, we received a couple payments from DACWA. There was a total of $424 received in October and $829 received in September, and over $1,000 in August. So for the end of the year, I'll put together the full totals of all that. We've gotten a number of invoices for, well, it means they've been paid by the city for beach sampling, but I guess from water quality. You know, I think Alan and I, you and I spoke about this. I'd like to talk to it was the health department. You gave me the guy's name, but you know,
Bill Mooney.
Right, because
yeah, it's go ahead.
So that we would have a fixed contribution every year instead of, you know, getting invoices for actions and interns that we don't manage. So I don't know how far that would go.
Yeah, others have tried to do that, but I'm happy to meet with Bill and probably as the director of the health department. I've forgotten her name, but that's who puts that budget together. And I think it's probably a non-communication kind of situation of just putting the number down from last year every year.
Right, and then we you know, I don't know how strictly that budget's followed, and we, you know, it's a if we're not managing it, so we have no control over a budget, which is not the best situation for us. Somebody, the people managing the budget should have the risk for budget overruns, not us.
Exactly.
Water quality interns, Chris, we're under management of, I mean, the interns were under the guidance of the Water Quality Committee years ago, right?
I don't know who does that now.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that was the whole purpose, because when the Water Quality Committee had started, we had water quality interns, and those interns worked with the health department and also with did some work at Earth Place. And then there was a budget that we had, I think it was $2,000 that we had allotted for supplies, et cetera, that went into that one budget. And we didn't get piecemeal. It all came out of that one budget, but well.
And Shellfish shares in that too, but
yeah,
we shared in the fees. That's right. That
So
all
is that,
needs
is
to
that
be
still done?
ironed
I
out.
don't know. We just get charged every month.
You get the salaries, right?
Salaries and beach samples has been another thing that's been
Yeah.
come up in the last couple.
Jeff,
Well, just, we talked about this in the Water Quality Committee too, that in recent years, some of that money goes to water quality sampling upstream of the harbor in the Norwalk River. And we wondered what the benefit is to the Harbor Commission. And so Joe and I talked with the director of Harbor Watch. This was, I don't know, a couple of years ago. And the sense from Harbor Watch is that testing upstream is a benefit to Norwalk because we know what, we can understand what may be coming downstream and affecting the harbor. But we tried to get a handle on all of this stuff a while ago. But what was originally a program managed by the Water Quality Committee and the Harbor Commission has expanded. It's not, well, the beach testing is one thing, but the testing upstream in the river is another.
Well, and it's not even this, it's not even so much the scope. It's I don't think it's our job to manage the scope because we don't manage the people and we don't manage any of the process.
No, but the Water Quality Committee did at that time.
But who does now? I'm talking about now.
That's the point. The venue, the overall structure has changed a bit, and I don't know when that happened.
and I don't think any of us do. I'll take the lead. I'll call Bill Mooney tomorrow and find out
I
who's
think it's up
making
to the Water Quality Committee to sort of set their
following
own rules and regulations. If once that's finalized, they develop a chair and they develop their and as a matter of fact, we hired previously, we had applications, especially when Joe was involved. He would have many of his students. For example, Chris Vargo was one of the first, to start the water quality as a
My understanding is the health department hires those.
Well,
interns, but
no,
I'm not positive.
we did that in the beginning, and then they would work it was Alkeo at the time, was worked at the health department and work with under Alkeo, and then they would also work with the people with Dick Harris's group at Harbor Watch at Earth Place.
It sounds like
can
that
understand
commission
what-
is understaffed, has a lot of empty seats right now and it doesn't seem to be taking the lead on any of this. So,
That's right. And from, as Chris said, I'd like to see just us make a fixed contribution annually to the effort, frankly, and have the water quality manage it, and Shellfish can make their contribution, and then it's really just a line item for us, and we know what it is, rather than having all these charges coming in.
I agree.
And it means that somebody has a budget to work with too, rather than just an open checkbook.
right.
So
Is it our understanding though that whatever we're getting charged, Shellfish is being charged the same amount?
Well, that's a good question, Chris. I often wondered about how those invoices were coming in, because
we get a transfer of a chunk of cash from Shellfish every year to do that.
Oh, right. So Shellfish's contribution is capped.
right, that used to go into the harbor management fund that we had, and that out of that fund. I remember when I was treasurer, I would pay the bills that would come in, and I would see the receipts for example, auger, for filters, etc., that would come in, and sometimes redundant, and so I had to watch out for what was coming in, and but yeah, we controlled that at that time.
Let me reach out to Bill Mooney. I'll take that step and see if we can get somewhere with that.
Okay.
All set, Chris, on the.
Yeah, there's nothing else out of the ordinary at all,
And plans and recommendations?
It's like I said, we've gotten nothing on from economic development on their proposal to incorporate our grant into their effort. We've asked for the RFP, and that nothing's happened there. My continued concern is that, and hopefully I read this right, or maybe hopefully I didn't read it right, but the grant, when we received the grant, what I read was that the funds have to be expended by June of 2024. Which seemed like a long time off, but
time flies.
We're lucky if we get somebody out. If at this rate, we're lucky if we get somebody on board by June 2024. And I don't know if the timeline is a priority for the city. And I'd hate for all this work to evaporate even after we got the grant.
I think that's we're well considered. I think we should
Chris,
uh,
matching funds required?
yes on. Pardon me?
There's no matching funds required. It was a
Oh.
$40,000 grant.
Well, if the city's, has gotten held up, and I don't know that they have, but we need to get this whole thing moving. One way or another, either we just go ahead with our part of it.
Well, we're way behind doing that then too. We
Yes.
put everything on hold for 3 months because of their request.
Right. Anything else?
Nope.
President?
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing else for plans and recommendations.
Okay. Chris and Mike, I guess, are up.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. We have been working, still moving slowly towards the finish line of the resurrected newsletter. And again, hats off to Chris, the kind of editorial lead on all this stuff. We've taken, I think you saw, Alan, the original draft and the outline, and we're at a place, as Chris likes to put it, kind of at the 5-yard line here, and just kind of need to push through the red zone. So, Chris, I don't know. We don't really have much to share right now. Do you want to kind of get into any of the sections here, or talk more about it?
No, we've got an outline together that we kind of have. I reviewed it with Alan. We put together a bunch of, I'd say we have the raw clay going on. We've got a bunch of the assets, talk to the people. I have a letter from Alan. We have photos coming together. So it's all there. We just got to, sit down and kind of bang it out. There are some details that I'll need for a few of these pieces, so I can reach out to you guys offline, to whoever, basically is the keeper of that information, just to finalize this stuff. And then obviously everyone will see it prior to distribution, and then we'll get it up on the site, and we'll get it out the door. We should have something. My goal obviously is to have this, kind of done and wrapped prior to the November meeting, so we can, be looking at it on a website or in our inbox or something like that, instead of chatting about it. But we're right there, got the photos, got the stuff, just need to build it and get it done.
Questions for
Just out of
Mike and
curiosity,
Chris?
are we planning, do you guys, you gentlemen have artistic qualities like art comparable to what we had with Tony Mobilia? Tony Mobilia used to do his own little cartoons that he put in the newsletter. I mean, if you saw those.
I do not have much of a cartoon ability, but
Because I have no artistic quality myself, no,
we'll make it look
John.
nice. I do a lot of kind of graphic design work and stuff like that on the side. I've got all the
Oh,
software.
I see, yeah, okay.
We can make it look pretty. There's all kinds of
No,
stuff.
I-
John, I'm the worst of it. I can't draw a stick figure, and that was kind of some of the problem this summer. Is I went off on my own and did some kind of graphic design with this program, and put some of Bruce's photos onto a kind of a front cover, and it was absolutely terrible. I don't think anybody would read it. I think it would be bad for the commission. So thank God we have, again, Chris here with the design, the layout, and the artistic talent.
Okay, yeah, I had to. Tony managed to take the some of the cartoons and we had dredging, or we had shellfish involved, and he would have his own little put his own little artistic quality to that. And it was sort of interesting. It was sort of very comical in some of the things that he'd done. Sort of brought a little bit of life to that to the newsletter. Yeah.
If inspiration strikes you, John, feel free to draw.
Oh no! You'll be the worst. I'd lose my citizenship if I started.
What about the website? The Harbor Commission website. Are we posting anything there?
Well, the intention is to post this information there once it's together, but
Yep.
I haven't really dug into the back end on the harbor management website.
No, it's that same thing here, Alan. Would probably need to get with Amelia and kind of figure out a better way to do that. But good way to start, as Chris said, is posting the newsletter, the final edition.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think that also posting things that we find out from the hour or anywhere that really relate to interests of the commission, things like some of the zoning concerns for South Water Street, that those all those things I think are, the more exposure they get to the community, better off everyone is. So I'll try to be better about that. I can post things there too. But
Do
I
you know who
just-
manages the back end on our site and like who has access to any of this forward facing kind of, portals that we have, so to speak?
Well, I think Mike and I both do, and I can give that to you too. Did I do that?
I don't believe so.
I have to go back and check.
We can
Joe Perella, who kind of is still listed as the administrator, but that's all been shared. And Joe is a former chair of the commission actually, and did a lot of graphic work and the newsletter for a while. He's still there. His name is still there, but he's sort of I have full permission, and I think Mike does for posting and doing anything with the site.
Now, when you say site, I just want to be sure you're talking about Facebook, not the actual web page, right?
Facebook. I'm sorry.
Right. So
Facebook.
the website,
I'm
Chris,
sorry.
is no, it's okay. It's just a little bit of a different deal. That makes me a little bit more comfortable. I just want to be sure we're not taking editorials and putting them on the city's website.
It would be a little trouble there.
I was a little surprised that there was like, oh yeah, everyone's got access to it. I'm like,
No, I'm sorry. It's a Facebook page. I'm sorry.
No,
Okay,
you're
right.
good.
Yeah, and then we can get all this up there as well, and we'll batch it all out.
Alan, could I just interject, ask one more question?
Yeah.
Mike, I want to know, again, you had probably one of the best ideas I've seen this year, and that was the Oyster Trail thing. Where does that stand right now? I thought that was an excellent move in moving in the right direction.
Yeah, thanks, John. Kind of, two things with that. First of all, we had a little bit of an outbreak earlier this year. So as far as like timing of, put this on the back burner, that was pretty convenient. I did have discussions with Jess's team. I'm trying to think I forgot the number 2 person with our economic development team to discuss this. And, I think it's something we could definitely push forward. I had a discussion with Alan. I certainly don't want to put Alan on the spot. I know that personally for me, it takes a little bit more of a heavy lift than just a one person kind of committee to get it together. I think now certainly it's something we could talk about and kind of get together. I didn't hear a lot of interest kind of putting this together, though, just as a harbor commission kind of effort. I think it's something that we could do through the economic development arm with Mr. Bartush and our colleague committee with Shellfish and kind of get it back together, John. Admittedly, it's probably obvious there's been a little bit of a bandwidth issue on my part as well.
No, but I thought it was an excellent idea. I was really excited about, because we have wine trails in Connecticut, but again, this is sort of a novel take, and I think a new approach to having an oyster trail. And I don't think there's anybody around, starting at least with our Shellfish Commission, that shellfish oysters.
And we have a tourism executive within on Jess's team as well. There's a tourism director who this is an ideal kind of thing for bringing outsiders into the community.
I definitely would follow that trail. Let me tell you.
Well, I appreciate that, John. Probably I kind of nominated yourself. We could definitely have a kind of follow up, you and I, to kind of get it moving here again. Any sort of collective effort on that, team effort, would be great. And I don't know why her name escapes me. It's Wednesday evening, I think here. It feels like a Friday. So my brain's a little shot, but I did bring it up to our tourism team and spoke with our arts commission about it. And so look, the Oyster Fest obviously already passed this year. I think to have something a reasonable timeline would be Oyster Fest next year. Everybody seems to be on board. We just have to stop those little, I don't know if you all know about the outbreaks I'm talking about, but actually a couple of people died from eating raw oysters. So the PR hasn't been good lately.
Talking Vibrio?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm still eating them. I'm still here. So.
Our Norwalk oysters are immune to all of those things,
Well, I'm hoping so, and I'm hoping we get a good response from our Shellfish Commission if we plan to have our annual Christmas party, and sponsored by the Shellfish Commission.
Jeff, you had your hand up.
Oh, I was just going to say also, I sort of dropped the ball too with trying to help pursue Mike's project, but we did talk with Mr. Carey, the director of the Bureau of Aquaculture, and Ms. Getchis is her name, with Yukon Sea Grant, and both are supportive of will provide support that they can for this effort to promote this oyster trail and an appreciation of the history of shellfishing in Norwalk and the importance of Norwalk Harbor. We talked about the percentage of the commercial harvest in Connecticut that's related, that's due to Norwalk Harbor and its environment. It's tremendous. So yeah, I'm sorry, Mike, that I haven't done more about this. But
No, Jeff, you owe me no apologies. I owe you one. You've been really big in supporting this work and giving me the kind of historical kind of background that I don't have as a new resident of Norwalk, right? So I did follow up with some of the Sea Grant folks. They had a really great kind of oyster class where you could go way out to Groton Point and kind of take an oyster class. My life doesn't allow me to go do that on the evenings. That sounds great. But the point is their oyster restoration plan points to 3 parts. And I promise I'll be very brief with this. 3 areas for restoration, right? So key areas. And one of them happens to be Veterans Park, which is something that we've discussed, as you know, with the aquarium and a possible kind of connection there. So more and more that we kind of pull threads, the more that people are supportive of it. So.
And the other resource that we have that nobody else has are those wonderful murals in City Hall, the WPA murals depicting the history of shellfishing in Norwalk. So those are a tremendous public outreach resource to use in any materials that are published. And we can do that with and Amelia helped us, I think, confirm that we can use those photos with proper citation to where they came from.
The WPA, yeah, there's WPA.
Yeah.
All right, that's great. So we've got John and Jeff as now members of the Oyster Trail Committee. So that's excellent.
That's right. Well done, guys. I think that's great. Committee of 4 now. I think that's well done. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Chris, for your work on this. Water quality, I guess we might as well go, since we don't have Joe to report or any committee members here, we should probably move right on to our new business, which is talking about it's Joe's resignation, which was kind of surprising and disturbing to me and disappointing, not in him, but in the fact that we don't have his expertise. And discussion of really about the Mears Water Quality Commission, which was John said earlier, it's very, very important to all of us in what we do. And I think, as Chris kind of intimated too, there are a lot of vacancies on that commission, and I think it needs a shot of something to, get it filled up and doing as much as they can. And I don't know all that the commission does, but there's a lot that can be done. So I'd like to just have maybe John lead the discussion a little bit about what he would like to see happen. And Jeff wanted to say some words about Joe as well. So
just maybe, I don't know that all the commissioners know the history of the Water Quality Committee, not a commission, Alan, because it's a
committee.
It's not established in the ordinance, but the history of it goes back to 1990. And the idea for the Water Quality Committee was the idea of the chairman at the time, Nick DePalma. And part of the reason for it is that the city had been sued or was being sued by the Connecticut Coastal Fishermen's Association, which sued other towns as well for violation of the Clean Water Act, having to do with discharge of pollutants from wastewater treatment plants. So they made a lot of money, and that created the Soundkeeper operation with Mr. Backer back at the time. And then there were issues brought up in locally as to who was at fault for the pollution in Norwalk Harbor. Was it mismanagement of the wastewater treatment plant, or was it some other cause? And as a result of all that, there was discussion at the Harbor Commission, much discussion. And then the recommendation was the creation of the Water Quality Committee, which would have representatives from the different city agencies that had and outside experts or people that were not governmental employees that would meet and look at problems objectively and independently, and not make decisions for implementation, but make recommendations to the different city agencies that had some role in addressing these problems. And maybe this is just repetitive, but one of the first things that the committee looked at was the storm drains going into the harbor. And then that led to the employment of interns who would tested the water and found, of course, that the significant amount of bacteria was coming from the storm drains and also from the Canada geese, on the impervious surfaces. So the principal problem was not the wastewater treatment plant; it was stormwater runoff into the harbor. And one of the first reports, and I've talked about this with Joe, that we wrote back in the early 1990s mentioned the participants or the members of the Water Quality Committee, and we listed one of the participants was faculty at Brian McMahon High School. And when Joe remembers, he was teaching a class, and someone came into the room and said the principal wants to see you in the office. So he went to the office, but it was the mayor calling him at the time, asking him to participate on the Water Quality Committee to look at these issues from a scientific perspective. And then, more recently, one of the significant matters or initiatives of the committee that was overseen by the committee and proposed was the study we did with Professor Hart to analyze the sampling data of bacteria upstream in the river and made statistical connections with the bacteria counts that were obtained by the Bureau of Aquaculture in the harbor to see what the relationship was. And that was very good. And what came out of that study was that the principle in the river itself, the high levels of bacteria way upstream couldn't be related to high levels of bacteria in the harbor, but the high levels downstream more in the urbanized areas of Norwalk, Professor Hart could make that statistical or whatever you call it connection between those levels and the high levels in the harbor. So anyway, that's the background. And I'm talking too much, but I'd like to say something about Joe, because I think we all should recognize and appreciate that I don't think any of us or anybody else in Norwalk that's involved with planning and zoning and environmental matters can expect to contribute half as much as he did over 53 years in the public interest. He started at Brian McMahon as a substitute science teacher in January of 1970, which was a year after I graduated. And then he taught at Brian McMahon for 33 years. And in the course of that time, he developed the marine science curriculum. He also developed the environmental studies curriculum. And also he worked when the Maritime Center was called the Maritime Center at first. He helped develop science and education programs at the Maritime Center and then the Maritime Aquarium. And it's quite interesting the foresight that he had. And I've talked with him over all these years, and he was on the Water Quality Committee, as I said originally. And it was 1969 that a famous person wrote a book that was considered the classic textbook of planning. And it was promoting a land planning based on science and pursuing planning based on understanding the natural environment. And that was meant to be it's called a departure from the traditional approach to planning, which was to facilitate real estate development and economic development. And that's what Joe was teaching, in the early 1970s. And the other thing, when you think about the contributions that he made for educating students over all those times, and in addition, he's in the FCAC Hall of Fame for his years as a coach at McMahon. In fact, when he came, this is sort of interesting. There is a connection here, so bear with me. Jack Casagran was the wrestling coach. And Jack was one of the most esteemed football coaches in the history of Connecticut high school, but he didn't know a whole lot about wrestling. So when Joe came in, he became the assistant wrestling coach and later became the full-time coach when Jack retired. But Jack Casagran, he also served the city. He was a longtime member of the Shellfish Commission. And somebody recently referred to Joe as, you know, he didn't have an angle. and that's the same way with Casagran. They weren't doing this work to promote themselves or get a better job or, you know, having any personal agendas. They were there to serve the public, both Joe and Casagran. I think we should just think about, you know, his contributions. And he resigned, as we know, because he disagreed with the approach to planning that would increase residential development density in the known coastal hazard area. And he didn't think that his comments or his input was given proper due and proper consideration. And I can't imagine anybody who in Norwalk over all these years whose opinions and views on this matter deserve more respect than Joe. And so now we have to figure out how to continue the water quality committee and the work that he set such a good example for. And thank you very much for letting me go on about this. But that's a lot of that's my opinion, but some of it's fact, including when he started at McMahon and all his service. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. You know, my path first crossed with Joe at the Maritime Aquarium. So when I was thinking about being recruited to work there, so it's he's been very active for a very long time and made a lot of tremendous community contribution to our community. John, I don't know what we should do. I think we need to work on rebuilding that committee because I think it's kind of needs some strong leadership.
I agree.
And I think that Diane's suggestion that some of us get together and brainstorm is kind of a good one. I mean, anybody who's interested, I'd be happy to chat with. It's not an area of expertise for me. You know, I'm not a water quality person, but I understand the importance of being able to swim in the harbor, how I would
the original
regard it.
construct was basically built around people who had certainly working knowledge of certainly of water quality. And I know John Atkins, I think, was one member, and there were several people on.
John was chair of the WPCA.
Right.
And he participated, and representatives from planning and zoning participated, and also DPW.
There was a good cadre of people that had an interest, but then, like anything else, there was no formal construct that really, I don't know what it is that really holds people together for a common mission. And I don't know what happens after a while. It goes the way of all flesh, like anything else. There was really no.
I think we're also in a time when volunteerism has kind of disappeared. I mean, there's just aren't people stepping up to do things at clubs and at churches and all of that. There's just not the people there that have the time or the willingness to give their time to contribute. It's a real challenge.
Sorry, Alan, to interrupt. Amelia, might I be able to share my screen if I'm?
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff. You should have the permissions to do that.
Let me see if I can do that. And Joe will kill me for this, but I just wanted to show a few things.
Yes, you got some photos of him, Jeff?
No, here.
Yeah, here it is. I do not want to mess with this gentleman here.
No. But I just this is back in 1989, written by Frank Fay as Joe at this time got an award from actually Yukon Sea Grant and also DEP at the time for his, and I forgot to mention his involvement with the community college. But whenever I show this, he doesn't much like that. One other thing I wanted to mention. This is interesting.
Oh yes.
This is from the 1970s. These are photos of Joe. The photos of Joe. No, photos by Joe, because of his interest in things that not everybody was.
Mention where this is located, Jeff.
I think I'll have to check with him. I think this is Oyster Bend, but I'm not sure because
this is Oyster Bend. You're facing Oyster Bend. It's to the left of Oyster Bend.
Yeah, that was the barrel cleaning area. But let me these are photos that I borrowed from Joe or he gave me over time.
Some of those barrels are still under there, Jeff.
Oh yeah,
Here we are.
But look at this photo. This, I won't tell you where the site is,
Oh.
but look at the discharge coming out of here. And again, Joe was doing this as a volunteer with, I forget the name of the group that he was involved with then. But they tested this and it was, he told me what the pH was, and that doesn't ring a bell, John, but these are just examples of going back 40, well, 50
So it was extremely acidic, Jeff.
50 years being involved in trying to improve environmental quality in Norwalk Harbor. And I said, another picture. And this, you know where this is, how this looked in the 1970s.
Wow. That's, you know, I think, I don't want to.
That's Oyster Bend. I mean,
Like
that's
just go on for.
Oyster Shell.
Right. I think that the real mission is to where do we go from here? You know, I think that people have made a contribution and we have a lot of respect for them. I think that our job is to find out how we can support this effort with people we know, and you know, and encourage people to become involved.
Well, you
I
know,
mean, that's what we need to do.
What I found difficult, Alan, because we've tended a couple of meetings of, you know, people are interested in the Norwalk River watershed, you know, and all. You have many of these organizations that have members on them that also have their own self-interest involved, and they're always looking for money for their own sake rather than, I don't know, it's hard to explain. They attend these meetings with the idea of giving lip service to what has to be done, and each one of them has their own unique interest in trying to sort of get a grant for their own personal you know, the work that they do themselves, rather than working for the good of what that project is about. I don't know how to explain. It was kind of difficult when I attended some of the other meetings to try to understand exactly where each person was coming from. They have good lip service, but each one was part of their own little unique organization that was looking for their own separate funding for work that had to be done in the area. And it was more of a competition rather than a collaboration.
You know, I don't know where to go. I do think we need to encourage more people to be involved. That's the.
No, there's no question about it. Yeah, I don't know if Linnell Jones's suggestion would come in handy to have an ad hoc committee along with that water quality. I don't know, but there's certainly a lot of interest in water quality in some way.
There is. I think everybody wants to complain about it, but nobody's really willing to roll their sleeves up and do anything about it. And I think it's the part of the difficulty, right, that we face. Lori.
I'm just curious what the feeling is of the current members of the current water quality committee is. I mean, what's their feeling about the committee and the purpose and the work and the energy? And
that's a good question, Lori. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
See, for me, Joe is the face of the whole that whole committee, and so I don't really know any of the other committee members. I know Diane pretty well, but that's about the extent of it.
What was Steve Bardershot?
What's that?
I don't know who else was on there, Alan.
I participate in the committee as well.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Jeff is here.
But just like you said, Alan, Joe did the bulk of the work. Most of us just attended meetings and talked and gave reports and had good discussions. And Joe and I would talk outside of the meeting and share information. But Joe was the person who drove the committee and did most all of the work.
But to John's point too, what I've noticed about attending different meetings at the city, that there's a handful of people that are on every committee there is. You know, I admire the commitment they all make, but you know, the more you spread yourself thin, the less effective you become when you're involved with too many things. But
yeah,
I don't want to talk all night about this because we could go on forever. I just think we all need to think about ways we can encourage this committee. And I think Diane's suggestion in her public comment was a good one, to get some folks together and just chat and have a hamburger and have lunch, have a beer or whatever, and just brainstorm a little bit to see what you know, we have three things going on. We have the Harbor Commission, which is shellfish. We have Mayor's Water Quality Committee, and there's the Norwalk River Watershed Association too. So there's really four organizations that are all interested in the same thing. Jeff?
There's a fifth one, which is the Watershed Initiative, which was the formal 7-town collaborative, which the Harbor Commission was instrumental in establishing many years ago. And there was a meeting of the Watershed Initiative last week, was it? Yeah, last week. And one of the discussions had to do with projects in the watershed that not all the towns participate. I mean, in fact, the last meeting, I don't know, there was no, Alexis Cheriketti was participating from Norwalk and a person from New Canaan, but the other towns weren't represented. But that's the formal governmental sponsored entity that's charged with dealing with matters affecting the watershed.
Jeff, one group that I've always been involved with wherever I live is you know, whether it's Trout Unlimited or the local kind of fly fishing groups. I mean, you brought up you know, the Remington, the DuPont situation that kind of really cascaded into, you know, I think it's Coastal Connecticut fly fishermen with the 1991 lawsuit around the Clean Water Act. I mean, you know, Connecticut is ground zero for activism from anglers, which is extremely effective. And as you all know, you know, this is a group that will come out and do what it takes. So, you know, I certainly don't have any answers, but I do know that when you go to a Trout Unlimited meeting, it doesn't matter where it is in the nutmeg state, you can't find a seat, right? And many of these folks live right here in Norwalk. Certainly they're crawling. Fairfield County and all of the fly shops are doing pretty well. Our local fly shop, Complete Angler, I think just had a big grand reopening. So, you know, how to bridge that disconnect, how to get the right folks in the seats is another one. But I know, you know, I'm always the positive spinner here. Apologies, but I do know that folks are out there. So.
Yes, and Trout Unlimited participates. They're an active participant in the Watershed Initiative, Mike.
Yeah,
I forget the name of the fellow. But yes, they're actively participating in the watershed matters.
Okay, then I'm going to sort of, I think I'm going to cut this off now. I think you had some good ideas here. I think we should keep working on this and see if we can get some action going. And I'm happy to, if you want to send ideas to me, I'm happy to, you know, consolidate them and do that function if that's helpful.
Okay.
So I guess we finished our agenda. This is a to be continued discussion. Yes, Jeff.
One other thing about, is there any consideration that might be given to the Donovan Award this year? I don't think we awarded such an honor last year.
No, we didn't.
But there are two. There's obviously two people to consider. One is Dennis posthumously, and also Joe. And whether they could both be honored in different ways, I think that's something that we might want to consider. We do have a tribute that we're making for Dennis, but again, the awarding of the Donovan Award hasn't taken place in a while.
But wasn't Joe Schneerlein? I think we had awarded one to Joe Schneerlein, haven't we?
Maybe we did. Maybe we did, John. Right?
We did. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was a while back.
I think a lot of us who are sitting here are unaware of the Donovan Award, and I don't want to start that discussion now. That's something that we should.
I'll send it around to everyone, Alan. I have
amongst ourselves because I'm kind of naive about the whole thing myself.
I'll send it around. I have a whole write up of how the inception of that and how we participate, how we got involved, actually got things going on that. And
that would be helpful because I think we, you know, it's.
Yeah, I'll do that when we get off our meeting here. I'll send it out to everybody.
Thanks, John.
There's one thing we didn't touch on it, and maybe I should have brought it up with plans and recommendations, but there's still the outstanding issue of the zoning, the zoning revisions. You know, I've been in touch with Amelia on that, and she put together a lot of information for us, but it's, for the most part, it's all superseded information. And I don't, I'm pushing this, but I don't want to sound critical because I think it's going in the right direction. But we still don't have, we still don't have what is actually, we still don't have the final plan for the new 5W and 4W zones.
Yeah, have you seen that new use panel, Chris, or is that still not? Like the grid that they had that you and I looked at? They want.
Yeah, I mean, there's an internal memo sort of discussing the issue, but nothing. I have not seen anything that's finalized. And correct me if I'm wrong, Amelia. I mean, the one that the March report is still the public facing one. I know there's internal discussions and stuff has been discussed in committee. Amelia shared the site with us that has all the internal memos, and I looked at the one specific to the waterfront zones. But I think we're withholding, I'm withholding comment. I think, and I'm recommending the committee withhold comment until we have the final plan. And hopefully that comes before the public comment meeting. I don't know how our role will, I hope we're not just another party in the seats at the public meeting. I expect to have something in, direct our committee's recommendations taken at the committee level and not at the public level. But anyways, I just wanted to let everybody know that we are, as far as I'm concerned, we're still waiting for the final recommendation from planning and zoning in some form that we can review and comment on, and not, and I appreciate the Amelia being our liaison on that. And I know she can't give us something that doesn't exist in any form yet. And I do think it's going in the right direction, but I just wanted to put that on the record for that's where that effort is at.
Chris, do you know if a hearing has been scheduled yet for they talked about? Is there?
I don't. I'm not
on the calendar.
Amelia, do you know what schedule for?
The public hearing has not been scheduled yet, but I think they're looking to do it early December within the first couple of weeks, and they'll have to have referrals out, I think probably within the next week or so. So they're aiming for early December, but nothing's been scheduled yet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, guys. Before we adjourn, I just want to, make a note that I don't see Telesco on, but we should just document it. Matt Gifford joined the meeting at 6:52 p.m. Make sure that's covered, and Jeff Stedman joined at 6:20 p.m. So we have that in our minutes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Good meeting. Good discussion.
Good.
Yeah,
Thank you,
well
everybody.
done.
I think so.
Thanks, Don.
Good evening, guys.
Take care, Lauren.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks.
Yep.
Bye.
Thanks, Amelia.